Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 3, Episode 10, The Diplomatic Corpse, starring Peter Lorre as Tomas, George Peppard as Evan, and Mary Scott as Janet. And this is an average episode, in my opinion. This is one of those episodes that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's mostly a comedy episode, and I do feel that some of the comedy is a little bit one note and a little bit dated in this episode, but parts of it do work and are amusing, and Peter Lorre is pretty entertaining as well. So, like I said, kind of a hit and miss episode that comes across to me as average. So we start with a couple driving. Their names are Evan and Janet. They're our main characters, and Janet's aunt is also with them, and they're traveling. And Janet's aunt is, to be nice, a lady that likes to speak her mind. I'll just say it like that. So the couple decides to make her happy. They're going to cross over the border into Mexico because the aunt would like to see it. The problem is when they get there, it turns out they thought Janet's aunt was sleeping in the back of the car, but really she has passed away during this time. So now they're in kind of a strange situation where they're in another country with a dead body in the back of their car. Kind of an interesting setup for the rest of the episode. So next we go into a scene where they're in a place and they're having a drink, and they don't seem too broke up about the passing of this lady. They're more worried about the inheritance money they can get when they go back to the States. Now, this would be simple enough, except that the problem is when they go back out, their car is gone, it's missing. So, not wanting to involve the police, since there was a dead body in the back of the car, they go to this detective named Tomas, our other main character. They tell him the story about how their car is missing, but of course, they don't tell him anything about the body. Although I do think Tomas might suspect more, even though he doesn't come right out and say it. And of course, another important thing is that Tomas says, "Sure, I'll help you, but there's going to be a fee for this." So eventually we meet up with the couple back in the hotel, and they're very concerned about what's going to happen. They're even more concerned when the police chief comes by and says this man named Tomas contacted us. So this doesn't make Evan too happy, especially when he has to go down and identify the car, which does happen to be their car. The only problem is there is no body in it. So the officer, kind of reprimands them and tells them that they should have reported this immediately, but other than that, he pretty much lets it go. The problem for the couple, however, is if they leave without the body, they will not be able to get any inheritance money. So Evan and Janet decide they need the body, and they reluctantly go back to see Tomas again, which I have to say, they obviously didn't learn their lesson the first time. I don't think I would have trusted this guy at this point. So they do find Tomas, and he's sleeping at a table, which I did think was humorous for some reason. So he wakes up, and Evan's pretty upset with him at first, but Tomas convinces him. He said, "You might not have loved my methods, but you did get your car back. I did what I said," which is a valid point, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So at this point, Evan and Janet tell Tomas the whole story, and Tomas says, "Sure, I can help you, but of course it'll cost you more money." So it was kind of funny how Tomas kept wanting money throughout this episode. So at this point, Tomas goes back to the couple's room. I think it's later that day. He said he knows a man who knows where the body is, but they're going to have to break him out of prison. And of course, he'll need more money for the job. I do like how Tomas acts like he's helping out so much. But really all he really seems to be after is money, as this doesn't really lead anywhere either, other than to make the episode 25 minutes long, I guess. This scene doesn't really lead anywhere. So at this point, the couple are ready to give up and leave. They're ready to give up hope when Tomas comes by and says, "I know exactly where the body is. It's at a funeral home for some reason," which I was very skeptical of, as Tomas's track record with being 100% straight up's a little shaky at this point. And of course, he wants more money to help. I don't think Evan has any money left at this point, but the couple figures it'll be worth it. They'll get this inheritance money when they recover the body. So they go back to the States with the body, or what they think is a body. But it turns out Tomas did give them a dead body, but it is that of an elderly gentleman. So it is definitely not Janet's aunt, I think it's safe to say. A pretty predictable twist. I figured that it wasn't Janet's aunt's body the whole time, but the twist isn't that important to this episode. It's more of a plot device than anything else. Like I said, this is an episode that pretty much plays for humor. The humor was hit and miss with me, and I did think it got a little one note after a while. But the performances are entertaining, especially Peter Lorre. So I'm pretty neutral toward The Diplomatic Corpse, and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Just an average episode for me, but I will say that Fans of Peter Lorre might want to check this episode out. So 2.5 out of 5 for The Diplomatic Corpse. And as always, thank you very much for watching.